morning, good morning. Good morning. I should probably turn the lights down just a little bit in here. Once again, another late morning. It has been, to say the least, pretty, too low. There you go, a little better. Pretty eventful over in our area of the world. Busy, dramatic in some ways. I want to welcome everybody that is tuning in. Today I'm going to work on some poetry about feeling safe, poetry about other stuff too. Actually wrote it all down. Planned it out this morning. Reading some poems, reading song lyrics as poetry, and yeah, just celebrating another morning in the world. So yeah, as well as also having some paper that I need to cut for this weekend, and just another low-key stream, though these are not going to be a regular thing. I thought that this was going to be, I was going to be getting to sleep early, waking up early, doing the whole thing, being totally ready to jump right into it. That is not how everything turned out, to say the least. I want to thank everybody that's here, and let us get started. Also, this is the first day that affiliate status is actually on. I have to say, Twitch really goofed on that one. We've had good crowds here for the past several days. I have it set up that it's not working with my DBA, so I don't know. This is just one of those mornings, I guess is the best way to put it. We'll probably stream just for a couple of minutes, really. But it is the first time that people can... Oh, thank you so much for the cheer! Leaky, really appreciate it. So glad to see that you are in the building. I'm going to lower our music while I get ready to read your poem. Yeah, we had in my neighborhood we had an event last night. I'm not really able to disclose many details. Horrible actually, but that's okay. We had an event last night that kind of made us, my wife and I, question how safe we are, which is not something that we usually have to question in the world. And so I might be writing some poetry about that today. But it's going to be a shorter stream because I've got a lot going on in my head, a lot going on in my life now that I've got to handle. But it is good to be here. And oh, thank you so much. That means so much. It really does. It really does. And I'm still I set up the affiliate status stuff last night, and but I didn't fully set it up. I just got it kind of on, and now I'm going to start setting it up so that our point system is pretty cool, and everything is just really going to be neat. It's going to be great. The thing is it's not set up under my business, which is kind of the unfortunate thing. Is so I do business as Walking Mall Poet. I have a sole proprietorship. But I'm not able to put that into Twitch. It didn't let me. It had options to put it in, and every time I put it in, it wouldn't work. So I'm going to be reaching out to Twitch to hopefully resolve that. But I was able to put it in just under my regular name, which is perfectly fine. But it's so good to see you, Leaky, in the house, and thank you so much for the tips and the bits. Yeah, I couldn't get my head around it either. It was an entire week of just going round and round. Twitch's customer service is probably some of the worst customer service I've ever seen. I literally sent them a whole bunch of screenshots explaining my issue, and they didn't even respond to it. But that's okay. We're gonna push the issue on that, but at least now things are kind of open. The floodgates are open. And I appreciate you being part of the floodgates to start. This morning, I am going to read song lyrics as poetry for Leaky. And remind me your name again. I think you said it was Dr. Gibson or Dr. Wilson. It was Dr. something. Um, but remind me, Dr. Lucas was your name. Dr. Lucas. So Dr. Lucas has song lyrics, and at the current moment, as he is recovering from something health-wise, he's not able to sing them. Which this is not, believe it or not, the first time I've encountered something of that nature. I had a wonderful lady that came up to me and requested a poem from me on the street a few weeks ago, so a few months ago at this point. And she said that she was going to be seeing a doctor to get her ability to sing back because she couldn't sing. And I wrote a really nice poem about songbirds and songbirds learning to sing. But this is giving voice to Dr. Lucas's own poetry. And the title of this song is Stuck on Repeat. Oh, no, this is not Stuck on Repeat. That was the name of the subject line. This one is called Deep Reflection. Mirror me, mirror me, mirror me, mirror me. Mimic me, mimic me. You think you're special with that attitude. It eats away at me. It's inside of me, inside of me. You just have to go. You just mirror me and mirror me. Mimic me and mimic me. You're just a copycat and don't know how to act with you talking whack. Mirror me, mirror me. Mimic me, mimic me. With my words so empty just to prove you can't sing and walk. You can't even talk the talk. Mirror me, mirror me. Mimic me, mimic me. You're nothing but brittle glass. I'm gonna kick your ass. You're just a cheap reflection of me. So just mimic me, mimic me. Mirror me, mirror me. You're just a copycat and don't know how to act. You're just a copycat and don't know how to act. Deep reflection. Thank you so much, Dr. Lucas, for sharing your song lyrics with the world, and we excitedly wait for when those songs become a sung reality, and when they will end up as background music potentially for the show, or featured music for the show, or whatever you decide you do with that music. Learning through the insanity is your handle on the on email, and that I think is just, it's true. We are learning through the insanity. Good morning, Twitch Hero Alex. Yeah, on YouTube. Good morning, Twitch Hero Alex. I am right with you in that 4.5 hours of sleep category. My wife and I were getting ready to go to bed. I was actually about to start tuning into the premiere. And I was going to listen to a bit of the premiere before going to bed of the new Watts Wave Chew album. So exciting. When I'm gonna use the general term commotion happened outside of our apartment that resulted in the poem I'm gonna be writing today. And the poem I'm writing today is gonna be kind of about what is it like when you're in the flow state of feeling safe and secure with everything that you have, and then suddenly that safety and security, it doesn't seem so there anymore. When the things that you thought were all just there and okay were no longer, they're no longer there. Not that they're no longer there, but it's like for a second it's like, oh wow, your world is not as secure as you always thought it was. And you get into those habits, and it's important as people that we wake up in the morning feeling secure and safe. If you don't feel secure and safe and you wake up in the morning every morning and you don't feel that way, that's a true sign of anxiety, which is something that could really hurt you for your life. So that's kind of where I was like at. But at the same time, there are moments for any human being where you realize how fragile that safety is. And as a result, my wife and I were listening to the premiere, but it was pretty, we were pretty bleary eyed and dealing with a lot of stuff, and I got to bed around 1 a.m. But I'm here, alive and streaming, which is what counts. Though I can't say if I will be that way in about a half an hour to an hour. As you can see, Twitch Hero Alex, I got affiliate status all up on the channel, but I haven't. I have to still fix it so that it's actually aligned with my business and not with just my personal, because apparently Twitch won't let me use my business name, which is not make sense. So we're gonna figure that out. Let's write some poetry. Hold on a second. It looks like we have the black screen of death. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can fix this. We have the technology. Oh no. There we go. This is a pretty good rock mix, honestly. This is one, as always, this is Akira the Don's instrumentals, and this is one of his newer instrumentals. I really like this one. Cool emojis, Dr. Lucas. Awesome emojis. I made this reference before in poems, but I would like it. Make it again. I like making the reference to the Stranger Things is upside down. Safe and a sound. Awake and asleep. Awake and asleep every day. Rushing through the seconds and beckons of the world as a pinprick, a pure point, needle into the haystack of calm. And I feel the proxy of pain, the curtain open to see the truth, the shadow, the upside down. We drown in the sunlight. Instead, it is dark, and those sharp, stabbing sensations can come from anywhere. Anywhere. Where will the wandering soul go but back to home? Safe and sound where we all start. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you guys enjoyed that poem. It's of the past, I don't know, it's just, I'll probably tomorrow get a little more into some of the more like work poems that I've got to get done, like my, what do you call it? Those, not work poems, but the stuff like my commissions. But for now, it's sometimes you wake up and you just do not have the head for commissions, and that's the morning that I have right now. I want to kind of bring back a ritual that I haven't done in a long time, which is the cutting of paper. The problem being a typewriter poet is that you cut a lot of paper. You need a lot of paper to be able to write your poems on. I was going to cut some paper and then probably call it for the stream. This is the way that some mornings go, and I really do appreciate... Oh, goodness gracious. That's bright. Let's see if we can turn that down. That's perfect. I do appreciate you coming here, Dr. Wilson. This is, I would say that this is pretty fair to say this is a level of fatigue for the stream that is not going to be very common. It's just one of those days when things are not going as right. But it has been wonderful to have you here and to be able to read your lyrics. So how long have you been writing songs for? I think I saw on another stream you've only been doing it for a short while. And the day will definitely get better. I think that for me, it's just the creative juices are drowned in the fatigue, and all I kind of feel is the words that I really wrote, which, since your birthday last month. Well, happy belated birthday. I think it's really awesome that you have been writing songs, and that you even have had one come out on YouTube. I think that's incredible. Song lyrics for me, like, I haven't actually gone into trying to write song lyrics. I have been approached to do it, and I was even like toying at the idea with it once, but it never really came to fruition. For me, I like to work within the outside the confines of structure and into free verse. But what I would do, what you're always welcome to do through the stream, yes, it's a little different from poems, but not much different. I agree. The thing is it a good metaphor for it is, so in a previous life, aka when I was younger, I was a drummer. I loved playing the drums. I had a good time playing the drums. It was a real hit. And I did learn rudiments. I learned a lot of things about playing the drums. And I was playing the drums, but I didn't have a band. So I was kind of looking around for a band to join. There's nobody really doing a band thing. I also had insecurity. I didn't feel like I could do a good job in a band. And then ultimately, over time, I just stopped playing because there was no band I could line my drumming up to. That's what writing song lyrics is kind of like for me, is that you need to be part of the musical process for me. Now, there's some people that, like, if you hand them a track and you say, this is all yours, then, like, as I think a lot of professional lyric writers do, where, like, it's like, okay, we made this beat, now you're going to do everything over it. At that point, if I can own the entire thing, then I probably would be pretty comfortable doing songwriting. But a lot of these people had, like, half ideas, and so I didn't feel comfortable stepping into their world to try to integrate it literally into the music. But what I did feel comfortable with, and I still feel comfortable doing, and I've actually encouraged a lot of people to do, is I have encouraged a lot of people to do what's it called? Sorry, just looking out the window. I've encouraged a lot of people to request poems from me, and then they can create song lyrics inspired by those poems. So they could even use some kind of specific phrases, and that to me is a very general way of being able to do that. So, and that way, the ideas, I can come up with some of the poetic ideas, but the poetic ideas can then be adapted by the musician to the music the best way the musician sees fit. So, yeah. So that is what I hope to do more of. And I've had some people reach out to me. I have a guy that's writing an entire album off of a dream. He had a dream, and I wrote a poem about his dream. I actually wrote it on the stream. And he is now writing an entire album based on the poem and the dream, which I think is incredible. Like I seriously to this day can't believe that he let me into that world. But he did. He told me about the dream and he said write a poem about it. So that's the way that I hope I can be part of the songwriting process and be of contribution to that community, if that they want. You would be surprised how many writers are actually like that. Leaky Dr. Lucas says, I have noticed I am not like most writers. Don't chase fame, nor am I chasing the dream of notoriety. I don't care about publication. What I want to have is writing I can respect. There are a lot of writers that are honestly in that category as well. I like the idea of people reading my writing, but I've come to understand that in almost all cases, I'm not saying something that is... I mean, I'm saying something that's unique, but there's everybody saying something unique. You read the stuff from the other Twitch writers, you read the stuff from those other people in the community, and you go, holy crap, like, this stuff's amazing. It's good stuff. And there's not enough time in the world for me to be able to even read all of it. And there's not enough time in the world for everybody to be able to read all of it. So then people are like, well, why are you creating? Well, one of the Meaning Wave philosophers has a good answer. He says that there is something within us that makes us need to create. He says, I feel like we're all like monkeys banging on typewriters. You see what I did there? Yes. The age-old metaphor that if you have enough, what he's referring to there, monkeys banging on typewriters, is I don't know who came up with it. Somebody did. But the notion that, with the infinity of the universe, if you have enough monkeys banging on typewriters, they will eventually punch out Shakespeare. Like, if you have an infinite amount of possibility. Yeah, it's fine, man. That's true. Akira the Don did a real cool remix of a song of his, not a song of his, but a lecture of his, about trees coming out of the air. A great track by Akira the Don. I am out of it. A great track by Akira the Don. Yeah. Let me see. I can actually play it in the background as I finish doing some cutting paper. Akira doesn't have his music copyrighted and loves the idea of sharing it as long as it can be credited. And it's a great song. I'll probably play that into our outro. Let me here, hold on a second. A little bit of music finesse. Yeah, so where is it? Oh, there we go. The substance of trees is carbon. It comes from the air. Yeah, well, but yeah, so the monkeys banging on typewriters thing. Yeah, and we're kind of like that too. Because I had a very intense crisis. And it wasn't intense at the time, but now that I look back at it, I realized it was one of the things that held me back the most from creating. Was I had a really intense crisis about originality, the utility of writing. If I'm writing, so where it all started really, to cut myself off, is it started for me writing a blog when I was in college. I wrote a blog. At the time, I was into religion and politics. I still am into religion and politics, but I think that I use poetry as a way to kind of heal and help through that, because religion and politics is now a lot of controversy. But anyway, I was writing about religion and politics, but I was one of many people on both the campus as well as within the general sphere of my religion that were writing about religion and politics. And I said, why me? What makes me special to be sitting here writing this? I probably am writing things that someone else has already thought of before, but I don't have time to read their books. And I would read a book from like a famous philosopher. And I go, wow, man, these ideas are amazing. I was thinking something like this, but they put it into better words than I ever could. And so I had a massive crisis about originality. Why should I write poetry? Why should I write analysis, nonfiction, blog posts, whatever, when there's already somebody doing something like that, and it's possible to get it? And so busking on the street with a typewriter creates unique experiences individually. So I kind of solved that problem. But but I also had to come to terms with the fact that we are also meant to be repeaters. That, if someone says good morning, and then that person says good morning to someone else, and then that person says good morning to someone else, it's all unoriginal because someone is getting good morning from someone else, but it's spreading that joy of good morning. Leaky says, I think there is no original thought any more than there are so many people influenced by the same sources. We are really stuck on repeat, just screaming into the void and all doing the same thing. How amazing things come full circle, especially with your song titles. I mean, I would say there's definitely original placement in time. But also, like, in my faith tradition, again, that's funny how that kind of also is coming up again. There's a strong emphasis on mantra. No, I'm not Buddhist, but it's different. Mantra is the word I'm going to use for it, even though it's a different word. That if I spend every morning, or I spend most of my last 104 mornings sitting at this typewriter, writing poems about truth, beauty, and goodness, trying to bring light into the world, not necessarily toxic positivity, but just generally trying to uplift the soul of the world. Most of it's going to be probably stuff that's already been borrowed, used, done before, but it will. I can kind of just make that aura something here. It's like, you have you have annuals that you plant every year, or not necessarily you, but like a gardener plants annuals every year. Every year he goes down to the local flower store. Every year he buys the same flowers that are going to be dead by the end of the year. That's what he does. He keeps planting those annuals. Keeps planting those ideas. So it's like, that was kind of my resolution to that. Now I have a kind of self marker for when I'm getting lazy in my rhyme schemes, when I'm getting lazy in my imagery. If I've written 7 poems with the same image in the same night, then I'm doing something terribly wrong, which I'm going to be writing again tonight. So we'll see how that all goes. So, and that's why I like doing things like Safe and a Sound, because I like the idea of writing on the original moment that's happening. Like the thing that happened last night that disturbed me, that disturbed my family. That is something where I should probably remember that in some sort of word, so that it at least, it gives voice to something that's there. So, yeah, that is kind of all that. So I had a little bit of a conversation about original thought and original word, and celebrating it, and celebrating the unoriginal word. That's a good poem idea, actually. You know what? Let's do it. I'm going to celebrate the unoriginal word in a short poem. In Hunger Till I Die, I really searched high and low to make sure that the chord progressions I picked hadn't been used. The lyrics, I did the same. Yeah, that one definitely... That one definitely was... Like, that's what I meant... That was the one that's on YouTube that I had listened to that made me think of you as a better Pearl Jam. Your style is that, like, the guitar, what do they call it? The pedals, like your pedal, your it's not translator. God dang it, I know what it is. But the sound of the guitar that you use, the way that you translate it, sounds like Pearl Jam, but nothing else. Like it sounded better because it sounded deeply original. Frankly, it did. It was such a cool, and it wasn't too metered. Like it didn't have like a 2/4 beat. It felt very like push and pull in the song. It was a good listen. Um, it has a similar feel, but the chord progression hasn't been used exactly. Um, so indeed. Oh, all my snoozed emails just woke up. So let us finish with this poem about uh, speaking of good guitar chord progressions. Yeah, exactly, which is so surprising. It is also the order that you put your chord progressions in, like the order, because all words are unoriginal. You know, I haven't invented a word. I've invented like a few words. Yeah, exactly. If you find like a certain like sound range to do it in, that's original. So sometimes what is original is order and not necessarily content. That's how a lot of people can get away with doing the 4-chord progression type songs, but also make them sound kind of original enough to get radio play. So yeah. Speaking of good guitar, this is Akira the Don's take on Joe Rogan and Happiness, his instrumental for the song. But I can't say the title out loud. On this stream, I'm happy as anything. Exactly. I feel a little burst of energy from this. I still am tired and I still need a nap after this to catch up on the sleep I didn't get last night. Which I honestly have been working really hard all week, so I'm very comfortable with taking some time off. And not when we have poetry to write. These past couple of poems have been pretty messy in terms of cross-outs, not giving a heck about how it looks. That was perfect. So Dr. Lucas is writing a story. I saw a bit of it on another stream. And I admire, I'm just reading the comment here before I read it aloud, that I admire the pursuit of originality that is filtering through your work. So he says, so this story he's writing is about a man that thinks he is immortal. He is a prisoner and can escape, but chooses not to. Spends 28 years telling stories to a guard that isn't allowed to speak in his presence. I really wanted to do something different and thought about how I can tell the story about an immortal that was different. Most people play them as hyper-intelligent or uncaring. Yeah, so the notion of an immortal person, like when you're young, your thought process on an immortal person is, oh, it's an immortal person. Like, you know, it's something where it's like somebody can live forever. That must be really wonderful. And then as I grew older, I learned that immortal people are portrayed kind of as jaded because they've seen it all. I've even seen a lot of shows, movies where they want to die. They wish death upon themselves. And I think that, you know, and I like the hyper intelligent line, because to me that seems pretty genuinely true. But the uncaring line is not necessarily true. But also the line of it being jaded. Like, I don't necessarily think that is, you know, like if someone has immortal time, yeah, like maybe for the first 100 or 200 years, they might mope about the fact that they're just watching existence happen. But over time, like anybody that is forced to face a situation that they don't want to face, they will learn to overcome it. You know, you either sink or swim. So when people are kind of just like these jaded on immortals, it's like, well, come on, you know, there might be more to that. I really find it interesting that he could escape and doesn't. If you're just tuning in, I'm writing poems about unoriginal words, and Dr. Lucas is talking about immortality. Twitcher Alex says, imagine being immortal and an asteroid hits the planet, wipes everything out. You can't die. You just have to either float around space and is a complete human, or as bits and pieces of a fractured human. Wow. Man, that is deep. That is so deep. Yeah, the question of immortality, oh, you could take that to so many directions, so many ways down. Like, what is it that's immortal? Is it the human soul that's immortal? So, like, you know, that becomes a musing of what happens after death, like feeling things after death. Is it that the body's immortal, but it's part of the body? You know, you're just this gabbing head in space and nobody can hear you. I mean, that's just terrifying. That's so cool. Halloween stream tomorrow. I have to plan a Halloween stream tomorrow. That's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be exciting to see Akira stream on the Halloween. It's gonna be pretty cool too. A playful immortality. Yes, because ultimately, oh my goodness, Leaky, you this is going to sound pretty straightforward, but you got to listen to some of Akira the Don's good Alan Watts meaning wave, because it's true that when you break life down into what is it really, we're kind of all delighting ourselves. And there's some really amazing points that Alan Watts makes about how, while life is serious, it's also playful. It's very playful. And that's ultimately what it boils down to, is that we, this might be an oversimplification, but we as humans can perceive ourselves. And we can perceive the things around us. Like when I pet my dog, I mean, he has memory, but he doesn't really remember it. Like he can't imagine and riff off of that and delight off of it and think about what it's like to do. Like he just is, he exists in the present moment, but we remember in the past. Yeah, exactly. Twitcher Alex quotes Alan Watts saying, "What would you do if you were God? What's your idea of heaven?" And then, ooh, that's so cool. Well, it's also the first time he has sat down and thought about all the stories he had collected. He actually comes to the realization, the story he tells about how he became immortal is him murdering a child. Ooh, that's amazing. That is really cool. There is a story, it's a short story. I don't think it's Hemingway. It's somebody. And it's this amazing short story about, and it basically, the short story is talking about how, and it's almost like a parable about how there's this amazing, beautiful society and everybody's beautiful and there is no crime and everything is nice. And this person is like, wow, how is this society can exist? And then somebody says, here's how it can exist. And they take this person in this amazing, beautiful society where nothing goes wrong, it's a utopia, to this shed. And there is this like, absolutely like terribly abused child in there. Like you could just like tell. And then they're like, this is the secret. This is how our society can be perfect. And the guy goes, well, I don't understand, all that stuff. Like, it doesn't make logical sense. But the point is that like, it's almost like you can have all that beauty, but at what cost? And it's an extreme tragedy. Ooh, that you were torn between endings. Yeah, I haven't written prose in a while. I give you credit for pushing through it. Again, if you're just tuning in, we are discussing the beauty of tragic, playful immortality. But back to what you were kind of saying, Twitcher Alex, with quoting Alan Watts, is that that the immortality is a playful gesture in some ways, because that we as humans being able to self-perceive, it's a lot of what we do in it's not in a not serious way, like it's not frivolous, but we are self-entertaining ourselves. We are doing a lot of imagination. We're doing a lot of myth making. We're doing a lot of meaning making. Why live if it doesn't make us meaningful and happy? But meaningful and happy is a sort of play in itself. I like your conclusion on where you want to leave that book. I'm not going to say it out loud because I do not want it etched into repeat. But Leaky, I like your perspective. It is true that a lot of writers just kind of write, but I think that there's something good in that too. That a lot of writers are just writing for the joy of it. But I think it is important to be conscious of what came before, just so at least if you know you're repeating something, you kind of know you're repeating something. So we're gonna wrap up our stream today with a read of a poem in praise of the unoriginal word, and then we are going to conclude with a song, Akira the Don's remix of Richard Feynman talking about trees coming out of the air in honor of our friends the monkeys, infinite amount of monkeys banging typewriters, creating Shakespeare. Wonder if they would all work on Olympias. They're good machines. All right, thank you so much, Twitcher Alex. I'll eventually catch you on the Akira stream. I've got to sleep sometime this morning. Today is going to be a day off for me, but your energy was helpful and wonderful. So, this is in praise of the unoriginal word. Already preached in the progress, am I the Russian bear of biblic imagination? Am I the old gospel gesticulating to the empty libraries with dusty books? Put the entire library Alexandria in a microchip. Let me devour it, and into the mind the immortal wanderings of the whole human race. I am the son of a son of a son, a lineage expanding, finding the little points of innovation to make my mark. If my history is doomed to repeat, let me choose to repeat the smile, the proud lessons to a child of mine, the aphoric values of the gilded halls of leaves, determination, happiness, and the most common, love. Thank you so much, and you have all a wonderful day. And to catch you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. is the goal. I think I'll be able to actually make it for 7 a.m. tomorrow. Meantime, if you're watching this on a replay, you can always email, phone call. Well, not phone call. You can't really phone call me, but email, message, whatever you want to do. Instagram is right down there. And thank you again for being part of this poetry studio. Now featuring Richard Feynman, Trees Come Out of the Air by Akira the Don.
The substance of a tree is carbon. Where did that come from? That comes from the air. It's carbon dioxide from the air. People look at trees and they think it comes out of the ground. The plants grow out of the ground. But if you ask where the substance comes from, you find out where does it come from. Trees come out of the air? They surely come out of the ground. No, they come out of the air. No, they come out of the air. The carbon dioxide in the air goes into the tree and it changes it, kicking out the oxygen and pushing the oxygen away from the carbon and leaving the carbon substance with water. Water comes out of the ground. Only it came out of the air, didn't it? It came down from the sky. So in fact, most of a tree, almost all of the tree is out of the ground. I'm sorry, it's out of the air. Now, of course, I told you the oxygen and carbon stick together very tight. How is it the tree is so smart, managed to take the carbon dioxide, just the carbon oxygen nicely combined, and undo that so easy? Life. Life has some mysterious force. No, the sun is shining. And it's the sunlight that comes down and knocks this oxygen away from the carbon. So it takes sunlight to get the plant to work. And so the sun all the time is doing the work of separating the oxygen away from the carbon. The oxygen is some kind of terrible byproduct, which it spits back into the air and leaving the carbon and water and stuff to make the substance of the tree. Then when we take the substance of the tree and stick it in the fireplace, there's all the oxygen made by these trees. And all the carbon would much prefer to be close together again. And once you let the heat to get it started, it continues and makes an awful lot of activity while it's going back together again. And all this nice light and everything comes out. And everything is being undone. You're going back from carbon and oxygen back to carbon dioxide. And the light and heat that's coming out, that's the light and heat of the sun that went in. The sun that went in. So it's sort of stored sun that's coming out when you burn a log. Sun that's coming out when you burn a log.
So it's sort of stored sun that's coming out when you burn a log. So it's sort of stored sun that's coming out when you burn a log.
So it's sort of stored sun that's coming out when you burn a log. So it's sort of stored sun that's coming out when you burn a log.